at any season in life, be intentional about what is growing, what is coasting, and what is contracting. And if you're trying to grow everything at one time, that's when you're on a recipe for implosion. Don't try to grow everything at one time. Grow some things, coast some things, and contract some things.
Ever feel like you're in a constant competition between your career and your husband's patience? Your kids think you work too hard, but hey, you're doing it all for them, right? The struggle is real, and I've been there too. Moments of feeling like a crappy mom and wife because once again, your kids had breakfast on their way to school, and you've got more important things on your plate than cooking and cleaning. Hey there, working moms who are juggling a million things and still wondering if you're doing it right. I'm Veronica Cisneros, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, a mama of 3, and married for 24 years. Welcome to the Empowered and Unapologetic podcast, where we dive deep into the messy, chaotic, and sometimes hilarious world of mastering motherhood, marriage, and business. I get it. Balancing it all was never the goal, but here we are, trying anyway. I'm here to share my journey and guide you through yours. No more apologies for being driven, and definitely no compromises on your dreams. Together, we'll navigate the challenges of being a powerhouse in both business and family life. Join me as we tackle the uncomfortable conversations from being the breadwinner to changing the rules of what a marriage looks like. Let's figure out how to parent in a working parent household without the constant arguments or guilt. I'm Veronica Cisneros, and this is Empowered and Unapologetic, where we embrace the chaos, challenge the norms, and strive to live life on our own terms. Get ready for some real talk, actionable tips, and a few laughs along the way. From corporate plateau to entrepreneurial freedom, how high-achieving women can build a business and a life they love, with Kasey D'Amato. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Kasey, a business advisor, executive life coach, and serial entrepreneur who has built a global skincare brand, a thriving business, and a multi-7-figure real estate portfolio, all while balancing a fulfilling personal life with her unique strategies. Kasey helps high-achieving women create a life aligned with their deepest desires, blending business mastery with personal fulfillment. Welcome, Kasey. Hey.
Yeah. Hey, Veronica. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I want to know more about breaking the illusion.
Yes. You mean the illusion of,
Balance.
balance and
Yeah,
success and all of the things
absolutely. All of the things.
Yes. Breaking the illusion. I think that so many people struggle internally. I know I was definitely there. We struggle internally balancing it all. And on the outside, it looks beautiful.
Yep.
And everybody thinks everything's under control. But on the inside, that's the furthest from the truth. And I can remember a moment in time when I had started my skincare company. We were launching international. At this time, I was practicing as a dermatology PA. I had a coaching and consulting business. And, we had all this press and celebrity shout outs, and everybody thought, look at all these things that Kasey's doing. This is amazing. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I was sleeping 4 hours a night. I was completely exhausted, arguing with my husband, not seeing family. The balance was not there at all. And I ended up in the doctor's office, basically, with them saying that you're probably going to have a heart attack, before you hit the age of 36 at that time. And, I thought something has to change. Something has to change with this situation, because this can't be what success is, right? Success cannot be burning out and being exhausted and destroying your mental health. And that's when I started developing tools to make some changes, to cut some things out of my life, to double down on other things in my life, and completely change the trajectory and sort of manifest all the things I had on my vision board. And, kind of go and through uncharted waters, right? That were scary, but make some big changes, have the courage to make some big changes, because if you want life to be different, you have to change the way things are today.
I feel like for us, I don't want to say this, but it's almost as if we have to hit rock bottom. Like
Yes.
we do. We will push ourselves past our limits. We will
Yes.
force ourselves to do things that are like not even humanly possible.
Right.
Sure, I can do this. I can do this. I can do X, Y, Z. Watch me,
Yes.
yeah, I could totally fit a 48-hour day in, 12 hours. Like, duh.
Yes. Yes.
And so can you give us more about like what your life looked like before? Because I don't think like we're all in it. We're all of us, all
Yes.
including myself.
Yes.
We're all in it. Like what did your life look like? Because when we hear these things, I know when I've heard these things, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, oh shit, she went to the hospital, sucks for her. Like obviously
Right.
she couldn't do the
Right.
48-hour workday in 12 hours. That's okay. Well, it happens. Poor her. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
shit, she thought, but I could totally do it. Um,
Right.
so can you tell me more about that? Because I want to make sure that the ladies, and yes, I'm totally calling you guys out, like we hear ourselves in your story
Yeah.
because I feel like we need the kick in the ass. I'm just gonna say it. We need the kick in the ass.
Yeah.
Like, what did your days look like?
Yes. So when the days were not good, right? Like they were not good. And I know that a lot of people can relate to that. A lot of people can relate to balancing, you're working a W-2 job. Maybe you have
Yeah,
a side hustle or a side business. Maybe you are, you're obviously a parent, you're juggling family, you're juggling relationships, you're juggling responsibilities. And so there's only so many minutes in the day. And so what it really boils down to is where is your energy going? One of my favorite quotes is, where energy goes, where focus goes, energy flows. It's Tony
yeah.
Robbins quote. And it's one of my favorites because that's what it really came down to for me is which of these time consuming activities are what is lighting me up and what I'm passionate about and what I believe in.
But
And
how did you
ultimately
get
what
there?
it came,
How did
yes,
you get there? Like what? So like I'll give you an
yes,
example. Wake up in the morning, wanted to go to the gym or wanted to work out. Well, shit, that didn't happen.
right,
I wanted to go ahead and do my Bible studies. Well, that didn't happen either. But that's okay
yes,
because I didn't get that much sleep, and so that balances out. And then
right.
I'm rushing to drop off the kids. And so what if their egg bites were still frozen and I told them to eat around it? Like no biggie. I mean, it happens, right? Like they need
Yes,
breakfast. They need
yes,
breakfast. Sorry, kids. Drop them off and then, rush to the office and you're checking your emails while you're driving. I mean, allegedly police
yes,
officer, right? Like
yes,
so like
yes,
what I want to know what it was like for you. Like take me
yes.
through your day.
Yep. So the day to day, oh my gosh, when it was like that, it was all the things that you're saying. It was all the things you're saying. It was checking the emails at the red lights. It was, at that time I was seeing a patient, I was checking emails. I had team members texting me. I had family members saying, are you going to be at the, anniversary party or the birthday
Yeah, of course I
party?
am. Of
And
course I
it's
am.
like so much coming at you. You're just basically like you're fielding the bullets all day long. You're literally just trying to put out fires and field the bullets, and it does come to rock bottom, and it's really sad because you brought up a great point that it does take getting to the point where you're like you just say no more, this cannot go on like this. Something about this ecosystem that I'm living in right now must change. And and that's when it comes down time to assess what is in the ecosystem and what
Mm-hmm.
is the thing you're going to cut out and eliminate. In my instance, I ended up exiting my W-2. I retired from clinical care. I ended up exiting the business. I sold the business. Like I took a complete sabbatical and checked out because you get to that rock bottom and then that's what happens. And my story is not unique. You've heard this from other people.
Yeah.
When you hit that rock bottom, that's what you have to wipe the slate clean and start over. And I think what my mission is to help people avoid that spot. To before you hit that rock bottom, assess what it is in your ecosystem, right? We've got responsibilities with family, especially if you have kids. We've got responsibilities if you have a significant other, family, right? And faith. And you've got a responsibility if you've got a W-2 job or your business. So how are you going to prioritize your responsibilities? And the way I think about it is which of these things do you want to grow and excel in, and which of these things are going into a coast period? One of my favorite tools that I use now is, at any given time, I still have a lot of things on my plate. I still have 2 businesses, a real estate portfolio. So none of those things went away. My husband and I have a happy marriage after 22 years. Like, everything's good. So what I think about now is, at any season in life, be intentional about what is growing, what is coasting, and what is contracting. And if you're trying to grow everything at one time, that's when you're on a recipe for implosion. Don't try to grow everything at one time. Grow some things, coast some things, and contract some things.
How do we know when we're in those 3 stages? Because as you're saying this, I know for me and a lot of people that I've met with, they don't even know they're there. Regardless if their
Right.
husband's complaining, regardless if their
Right.
kids are like, "Mom, I'm over you working." Like, it's fine. Like, you keep on just putting a Band-Aid on it, like on this
Yes.
hole, right? And it's like, it's
Yes.
fine. I'll go ahead and
Yes.
make it up to them, and I'll spend 2 more minutes with them, bedtime stories, and not be on my phone. Just kidding. I'm totally on
Right.
my phone scrolling, right? Like, because it's
Yes.
true. It's totally true. So how do we know when we don't know? Like, can you give us examples of, like, when I love those tools, but how do we know we're
Yes.
there? How do we know we're coasting? How do we know we're in
Yes.
those areas?
I would pick each of the areas. So if you have, like, your parenthood, your relationship with your significant other, your business, or your W-2, look at each one independent of the other ones. When we blur them all together, that's when it gets confusing, because it's not coasting as a whole. It's which area do you want to significantly improve, and which one is good. And if it's good, then it can kind of coast. So
Yeah.
for example, let's use relationships, for example. If your relationship is healthy, it's loving, and it's good, then you probably don't need to invest in, marriage therapy, or, as long as you're doing date nights and you're maintaining, you could probably coast a bit. I don't mean neglect, but I mean, you're still doing some date nights, you're doing some times, but you don't need to double down in that area. Now, if your relationship is rocky and it's tense and you argue and you can't wait for the next girls retreat, guys retreat, whatever it is, so that you're separate, then that's something to not ignore. Because if that area of your life needs attention and it's damaged and you ignore it because you're doubling down on business activities, then that area is only going to suffer, and it's going to slowly seep in and poison everything else. So I really recommend looking at each individual: parenthood, relationships, your W-2 or your business, which are in a healthy state, like they're doing good. And if they stay good, great. So we're going to put them in a coast and kind of maintenance phase. What are we doing to maintain them, keep them there, not neglect them, but keep them? And the areas that need attention because they're either suffering or we want them to exponentially get better, then that's where we put our energy. And then we look at that one thing. So say it's business, say we want our business to exponentially grow. And we look at the business and we say, okay, in order to exponentially grow, we need sales, marketing, or some kind of partnership innovation. And we start looking in those areas of, okay, in these specific areas, what can we do different than today? If I scrap 30% of the things off my calendar and replace with 30% different things, what would be different in that area? 30% different sales, marketing, or collaborative efforts, different than I'm doing now. And so I take my calendar and I take wherever I want to grow, I take 30% I've been doing, take it off, and replace with 30% of that time going to something new.
That's hard. Like,
It's hard.
right? It's so hard. When you're working with women to do that, what do you find, what do you find to be their speed bump?
So speed bump oftentimes is a limiting belief around time. Either they don't have enough time,
Yeah, because right
or
now when
there's
you're
an
saying that, yeah, right
yes.
now when you're saying that, I'm like, okay, girl, first off,
Yeah.
like, where the hell am I gonna find that time? Like, that sounds
Yes.
great. That sounds
Yes.
great. But like you said earlier, I still have to reply to my aunt about that wedding
That's right.
that's around the same time as the meeting with X, Y, and
Yep.
Z,
Yep,
right?
exactly. So something has to come off. So we've got to decide with that aunt, are we going to the wedding? Or are we going to the meeting? Like, which
That
one
aunt
of
is a
these?
bitch, Kasey.
Okay,
That
well then there's your answer. There's your answer. That's so funny. The way to make the time is things have to come off. Boundaries, you have to start saying no. The
Yeah.
boundaries have to be set.
Yes.
You have to start saying no to things. You have to cut things off your plate and replace with new. Nothing will be different if you do not change the way you're spending your time and energy. That's just plain and simple.
What was it for you? Like when you started this process, how did you, I mean, because I imagine you kind of like you dip your toe in and then
Yes.
you immediately bring it out because it's like, okay, this was so much easier. Like managing all
Yes.
of this chaos was so much easier. And then you're like, well, shit, no, there goes those heart palpitations again. Right? It's like, okay, never mind. Back to this. Right. So what was that like, dipping your toe in, coming back out, and at what point, because I imagine, I know for me it was battling this voice of failure. Like
Yes.
if I can't
Yes.
do all of these things, then I'm a failure. If I can't
Yes.
fit all of these tasks, then I suck. I suck across the board.
Right. And that's what most people feel like. Most people feel like, and especially women feel like we have to do it all. We have to say yes to everybody. We have to please everybody. And we are terrible at putting boundaries on our time. And so I'm a big proponent of time blocking or time batching, huge proponent. So there's hours of our day that are business, hours of our day that are family, and we do not cross pollinate. And there's enough buffer time and downtime mixed in the business time that there's scheduled time for thinking or for innovation, things like that. And with family time, we've got time spread between children or spouses and things like that, so or extended family, and we start limiting, or friends, we start limiting. And the reality is that friends and family circuit, if you're a business owner, you're driving your business, your friends and family circuit might get a little bit smaller,
It
and that's
does.
just the reality.
It
And that's just
does.
some people that are acquaintances, and when you see them occasionally, they're lovely
Yeah.
people, but they're not in your inner circle. You may be saying no to those invitations, or you may not be going to those things. And your family and friend circle does get smaller when you're in the active growth phase of growing a business, especially when it's early stage. And that's just kind of part of the reality, because we have 24 hours in a day and we need to spend them on the areas that we want to grow. And so
Yeah.
those core relationships become critical, but the peripheral relationships sometimes can be a distraction. And a lot of
Yeah.
people don't want to accept that, but
No,
it's just the reality.
it
Yeah.
is. I love that you said that. I found myself at one point when, with phone calls and text messages, why aren't you calling me back?
Yes.
When are we going to go out for, for a drink or for lunch or whatever? And it's like, I didn't want to sound like an asshole, but it was kind of like, I need you to schedule an appointment with my assistant. Like, I
Right.
didn't want to say that
Right.
out. I didn't want to say that
Right.
out loud because, okay, whatever, bougie. Like,
Right.
and that's not even it. It wasn't it at
Yes.
all. It was like, I have things to do, and it's not that
Yeah.
you're not important. It's I have employees. I have a company that's, it's on me, whether or
Yes.
not it's successful, it's on me and my team, but I have to
Yes.
make sure I manage my team. I have to make sure I train them. I have to make sure I
Yep.
set this up for
Yep.
success. And it wasn't until I started creating systems in place where the company was able to run and be self-sufficient,
Yes.
that I, kind of going back to what you're saying, where it started to become easier. But yeah, I'm so glad you said that. It's this grieving period. It's this grieving
It
period
is.
because you
It's a
don't want to
little bit
be
of a
that.
loss at the beginning. It's a little bit of a loss and a little bit of a grieving period when you're starting out. Now, if things do get better, when your business
Yeah.
gets more mature and you have a systems and team in place, but when you're starting out, or if you're in an executive position and you're working for a promotion, things like that, then time is limited because you're investing that time to grow your business or helping grow another business, and you don't have a lot of time for those peripheral relationships. And to your point, like for me, I batch even my text response time, and I batch my social media. I only look at social media from 10
Yeah.
to 11 at night. That's it. If I'm going to scroll, that's the only time. I only respond to text messages that are not business related on certain days of the week.
Yeah.
And even getting together with friends, I have one or two times per month that I will do that. I keep very tight control of my time and my schedule. My immediate family and the best friends, the core group, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But anybody
Yeah.
that's outside of that core group of people that I could list on 10 fingers, anybody outside of that, it's very limited access. And I think those boundaries on time are critical. And the other thing is, the other tool I really like if you're feeling stuck, is what I call the 3 level of who's. And, the 3 level of who's, a lot of people say that it's who, not how. And there's books written about that and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. I think about it as 3 levels. And if you surround yourself with 3 types of people, so a group of people that are mentors, coaches, consultants, people that have been there, done it. They're experts in your field or
Yeah.
experts in an area that you want to strive to. You want to be around those kind of people, whether you're working with
Mm-hmm.
them professionally and hiring them, or you're just in their ecosystem. You want to watch them, even if you're just watching them from afar as a public
Yeah.
figure. That's one group of people. The other group is your collaborators, people that are in a similar space as you. So similar sized business owners or stage business owners or people that have the same mindset around corporate work. And then a group of people that work for you, your support team. And this can be business, this can be home. These are people that are there to help lighten your load and help that, bring their expertise if they're experts in a certain area, or they are just executing things for you, either or. If you surround yourself with 3 groups of people like this, people that are mentors, coaches, advisors, people who have been there, done it, people that are similar to you that you can cross collaborate with and you can share resources, and people that are helping you, that work for you, and that are helping uplift you. If you keep a healthy balance of those 3 groups of people in your ecosystem, you're pretty much unstoppable,
Yep.
because the people that have been there before you will help show you the
Yeah.
way.
Yep.
People with you will share and commiserate and troubleshoot and
Absolutely.
brainstorm and mastermind, and your team will help lift you up and take those things off your plate. So I highly encourage, that was one of the biggest takeaways that I had when I hit my rock bottom, is I always have to surround myself with 3 levels of who's at all times. If I start a new
Mm-hmm.
business, I need a team, I need collaborators, I need mentors and coaches. And I need a few people at each level.
Yes.
I know looking for the right therapist can be challenging. However, feeling overwhelmed and disconnected is even harder. Life is filled with several twists and turns, some more severe than others. We do our best to handle them as they come and find ourselves at a loss, not knowing what to do or who to turn to. The clinicians here at Outside the Norm Counseling are here to help. We are here to assist you through this time of need. Together, we will identify your strengths and goals and teach you healthy coping skills. Together, we will develop a plan to help you live the life you want to live. Our team is compassionate, genuine, and we take a great deal of pride in providing an empathetic, non-judgmental approach to all of our clients. It's time! You've waited long enough, whether it be for you, your child, or if you're in need of a couple session. We are highly trained clinicians ready to guide you. Schedule an appointment now by calling 951-395-3288. Again, that number is 951-395-3288. We're looking forward to meeting you and being a part of your journey.
How many would you say? I love that. With those type of people, you don't have to say, hey, you know what? No, for real, you need to book an appointment. I don't mean to sound like an asshole. There's no
Right.
excuses. Like, they know, they get it. Because guess
Right.
what? More than likely, you have to book an appointment to meet with them too, right?
Yes. Right.
So
Right.
how many would you say? So for those that are, more successful than you, how many
Yep.
people would you say you should have in your corner?
3 to 5. 3 to 5. So I always say somebody that's close to your industry, and then
Okay.
maybe a couple others that have some other skills that are either outside of your industry. That's a skill you want to learn or a lifestyle that you want to aspire to. There's something about that person that you're drawn to, that they have a skill set that you want to learn. So somewhere between 3 and 5 at all levels is really, really critical. And when I think about leadership and becoming a leader, we're
Yeah.
leading ourselves, we're leading a team, and we're leading our industry. And the way
Mhm.
to start to become a leader is to have more conversations. And how do we have the conversations when we don't have time? Because we just talked
Yep.
about not having enough time on our
Yeah.
schedule, right?
Yeah.
So we have a conundrum, because the more conversations equal more opportunity, but we don't have the time. So the reality is we have to start cutting. We have to start cutting those peripheral social friendships and things like that. We start replacing that with our 3 level of who's, and we start surrounding ourselves with the people that are going to lift us up, that are going to take us to that next level. And we are in an entirely different environment now than we were before, maybe in our social circuits. And, this is, if you really want to achieve success, you want to be around successful people, and that's your highest group of who's.
Yeah.
So that requires talking to new people. And so that leadership wheel that I like, that has three legs to it there, the answer is talking to new people every week, every month, new conversations at different levels of the who's than you've been talking to before. And that will open up so many opportunities. People don't realize it's, networking 101, but it's oldie but goodie, but it works. It works, and it opens up a lot of opportunities, and it insulates you from the challenges.
I was so surprised by how many people, when I book a one-to-one, at least 1 to 2 every single week. Every single
Yes.
week. I want to know more about somebody else's industry, outside of the podcast. I want to know about somebody else's industry, what they're doing, how they're going about
Yes.
doing it. Like, I want to learn everything about them. Um,
Yes.
and what I've learned through that process is how willing people are to help. Like,
Yes.
hey, you know what? Oh, you didn't know the mayor of this and this and this? No problem, I got you. Or, hey, you know what? This surgeon or whatever, let's go ahead and go out with them to dinner, this day.
Yes.
And oh, okay, yeah, let's go out to dinner
Yeah.
on this day, right? It's like, and
Yes.
it's just this exchange of information, collaboration, and it's a it, it's like this learning experience. They provide you with this wealth of information. I love that
Yes.
you highlighted that.
Yes.
Yeah,
The conversations
definitely.
equal opportunities. It's one of my favorite reminders to myself. If I'm feeling stuck in some way, it's one level of a who's that I'm not. I'm like, who is it? Is it someone I mentor? Is it a collaborator, or is it a team member? When
Yeah.
I'm stuck, which of the who's has a missing gap that I
Hmm.
need to fill? It might be all three layers, but it's one of the three that has the answer for me.
Absolutely. Can you go back more to, I love how you were giving us examples of, okay, from 10 to 11, I'm on social media. From this time to this time,
Yes.
I'm here. Can you give us what your day looks like, more or less?
Yes. Yeah, that's great. So I do not take any meetings before 11 a.m. because
Hmm.
in the mornings when my mind is the most fresh. So in the morning I'm going to draft content, or I'm in the process right now of writing a book. I might write a little bit in
Yay!
the morning. I'm going to answer client emails. I'm going to respond to text messages. So I have a time block in the morning and a time block at the end of the day that I will look at my inbox or text messages that are business related. So
Hmm.
business related correspondence gets a time block early in the day and end of the day. Then I'm going to create some content, going to work on my book, going to maybe do some
Yeah.
approvals from my team if they've got some deliverables to me that they need approval. Then I take meetings from 11 to 5. Now the middle part of my day is when I have collaborative meetings like this. I come,
Hmm.
I talk to people, whether it's podcast or whether it's a connection, another meeting of some other kind. During that time block middle day, I'm having some kind of collaborative conversation. Then my later afternoon is when I have my client meetings. That's when I'm working with my clients. I'm helping them one-on-one get their business and get their life to the next level. Then in the afternoons, I tend to work out in the evenings. That's what I like. I just like to break up the screen time a little bit. I get in some outside time, or I get a workout in the afternoon, have dinner. Then I will, try to do something that's more kind of a wind down, or something that is different than work. I might still be reading, or I might still be watching a YouTube on something, or maybe
Yeah.
I'm watching a replay of something that I missed, but I'm more passively learning. I'll do that in the evenings. My secret confession, I definitely will watch Netflix for probably a couple hours, and I love reruns of Golden Girls. That's my favorite, like, downtime. I love their witty humor. And then, that's it. That round 10, between 10 and 11, or while I'm watching my reruns of Golden Girls, is when I will engage on social. That's when I'll like look at stories of people, things like that. I will not scroll during the day. I do not scroll during the day.
I
Never.
love that. Love that. Let's go to entrepreneur versus corporate mindset. For those women who are climbing the corporate ladder but feel unfulfilled, what key shifts in mindset and strategy can help them adopt an entrepreneurial approach, even if they're not ready to leave their jobs?
Okay, so if they're working in corporate and they want to think more like an entrepreneur, and I love talking about this because I think In the corporate setting, I come from medicine, my background. I started in sales, pharmaceutical sales, and wholesale pharmaceutical company. Then I became a dermatology PA, then launched a skincare company, to coaching, consulting, and all the things. And the real estate portfolio got started. So I understand the world of pharmaceutical corporate, certainly. And, in the world of corporate, people get so removed from the process of building the business from the ground up because there's
Yeah.
so much policy and logistics and personalities. And so a lot of that becomes a distraction to building the business, like the way entrepreneurs think about building a business. And the way entrepreneurs think about it is pretty simple: is, do I have the best product or service, and do I believe in it? Right? Because entrepreneurs are passionate about their vision, extremely passionate. So with people working in corporate, the first question I have is, do you like the product or service that you're representing with this company? Do you believe in the mission of this company? And if you don't, there's a fundamental disconnect there. And so, I highly encourage you, if you are not emotionally, if you do not believe in the product or service wholeheartedly, you may want to think about making some changes, because it's going to be very hard to get energized in a role like that. So 100% believing in the core mission and values of the business, the service, and the people that you work for. And the second is, what are we, as entrepreneurs, we're thinking about awareness and impact. We're thinking about how many people will learn about our service and how many people can we positively impact with our service. And in corporate, are we thinking that way? Whether we're working in marketing or sales or not, are you thinking about the greater global good of this business entity? And how can we make an impact in a bigger way, even if you're not on the marketing team? How can we make an impact in a bigger way? And that's the way entrepreneurs are thinking all the time, where they're nimble, they're changing, and they're constantly thinking about, how can I get more awareness on this service that I'm so passionate about? I can help so many people with this product or service. And that is front facing more than the revenue. The front facing mindset of the entrepreneur is, I can help so many people with this, for mission-based entrepreneurs, which I believe is the most successful entrepreneur from a mindset standpoint, from a fulfillment standpoint.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice you wish you had received when you were first starting out as an entrepreneur, particularly about managing both your professional ambitions and personal life?
The piece of advice I think that I wish I had when I was starting out is going back to that who's. You do not have to do this alone. And if you're feeling like you're struggling, you're feeling like you don't have time, I promise you, we all have 24 hours in our day. And if you look in your community, you're going to see people that are successful and, they are balancing it. And it's not just a facade. They truly are fulfilled and happy. And so there is a way to get there. I promise you, you're not stuck in the space that you're in. We live in a beautiful country where there's lots of opportunity. You are not stuck. There are options. They might be hard options. They might require a lot of courage. They might require a lot of discipline. They're not easy decisions to make, but the first step starts with a decision to change. And you do not have to make that decision alone. And you do not have to go through that transition and that breakthrough to the other side alone. And that's the thing that I wish that I knew earlier and reached out for more support earlier, because all of us, if we want to change, we have to do something different. And oftentimes it's a major change and a major difference in our life. And that's scary. And we need support in that process.
Yeah. One thing I found, again, going back to what you said, there are so many people that are willing to help. It's just being able to say it out loud and ask.
That's it. That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Before we wrap up, Kasey, do you have any freebies or resources that our listeners can access?
Yes, definitely. I have a time blocking tool. I think it would be great for your community. It's on my website, KaseyD'Amato.com, or you can DM me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn at Kasey D'Amato. I've got a time blocking tool. I have a business growth tool. I have a scale it easy checklist tool. I also host free virtual events. So those are great. I talk through the red zones in business and life. I talk about where people get stuck and how to overcome them. They're free virtual events. So you can register for those. They're called your Level Up Your Leadership virtual event series. So definitely take advantage. It's really my mission to pay forward the things that I've learned along the way, help people avoid those critical pitfalls before you hit the rock bottom, before you have to disconnect and, burn it all to the ground. You don't have to get to that point. Sometimes it's just a decision. This is just a decision and taking 30% off your plate and replacing it with a different 30% and talking to the right who's, and your life can really change.
Kasey, thank you so much. You've shared so much wisdom that I am 1,000% going to implement. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Veronica.
Raise your hand if you are ready to level up your marriage for 2023. Do you find that you're spending your time together with your husband checked out and in front of the TV? I know you're ready for tangible strategies that actually get you results. Reignite the spark in your marriage, have fun, and grow together. Well, I hope you have your hand raised at this minute because I have something special for you. I'm introducing my brand new 6-question marriage predictor quiz that's gonna give you personalized results to catapult you into the next stage of your marriage journey. That means you'll receive the results to where your marriage can get the best help. If you've got just 1 minute, head to veronicacisneros.org/quiz. Again, that's veronicacisneros.org/quiz, and you could take my brand new quiz, Marriage Predictor. Get your results delivered right to your email address. Again, that's veronicacisneros.org/quiz, veronicacisneros.org/quiz. What's up, ladies? Just want to let you guys know that your ratings and reviews for this podcast are greatly appreciated. If you love this podcast, please go to iTunes right now, write a review, rate the episode, and subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends.